The black community is very fickle when it comes to who it is influenced by, who will lead it. And I've lived abroad for the last 6 to 7 years. I've lived in Africa, I've lived in Europe, but I'll talk a little bit more about the European experience. Living in Europe, what I found is that there are charismatic people here just like anywhere else. You have people who are very influential, people who can make folks laugh, people who can get people to be empowered to make changes and do things. But Europeans are more selective in giving their trust to people who actually produce. They hold their people to the standards of production. Now, in comparisons to what I see in the black community in Africa, people are more, let's say, influenced by the person's charismatic ability. The ability for a person to make you be able to laugh or to feel something or to feel angry or to feel, like you're like you're going to basically come from last to first and these things, make you feel good about yourself. But those people who say they are going to do things don't actually do it. And yet we don't really hold those people to the same level of accountability as other groups. And I want to kind of say that because this is what we're having right now with Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar Johnson is a very charismatic individual. I love to listen to him talk. He makes strong points. About 90% of the things or more that he teaches, I definitely agree on. But Umar Johnson has the Marcus Garvey problem. And allegedly, Marcus Garvey was a man who was very, very powerful, very, very charismatic in what he thought. But when it came to working well with others, when it came to understanding how to do things, he kind of struggled with that a lot. And Dr. Umar Johnson is in the same vein. Umar Johnson represents what a lot of black preachers represent in today's world. They're good at criticizing others, not good at taking the criticisms themselves. And they don't understand that it takes teamwork to make the dream work. But Umar Johnson, your participation in his projects have to do with how much money you give him. And if you don't give him enough money, then it's your fault. But what we've seen with this last loss of accreditation, because now he cannot even receive donations in the name of this academy, is Umar's inability to do one thing that the black community needs to be done: productive. Umar Johnson is not a producer. He's a talker. And don't get me wrong, charismatic people are needed in every community. You need to galvanize people, and I get that. But see, the black community needs producers. People who know how to get things done. Isn't that what Carter G. Woodson talked about? We got a lot of people who, they talk a good game. And shout out to Brother George Macon for also mentioning this. But they don't want to do anything. See, that's the black community's problem. And see, you're going to continue to go through this time and time and time and time again because we're a community that doesn't really like to produce as much as you should. This is even why, if you look at even some of our entertainment sectors, which that brings a lot of money for our community, just look at the Shade Room. Who are they owned by? Nigerians. Media Takeout. I believe that guy is from somewhere in Senegal or Ivory Coast. Wall Star Hip Hop. Haitians. Want to know why? Because even other groups in the black world have an ability to enter into the markets because they're about producing results. Our people don't even expect results from the people who say that they're going to lead us, as long as they give us a good feel-good message. And we'll even defend their inability to produce. Let's just be real, guys. Dr. Umar Johnson has showed us for many years he is not a producer. He's a intellectual that can't even make his own thoughts come to life. That doesn't make him a bad person, although he does have some things with a flawed character. Many things that he's done, I won't get into it today. That definitely makes some of his decisions questionable, if you will. But Umar Johnson cannot build a system around him of competent people because, in my opinion, he's threatened by those people. See, Umar Johnson has to be at the top. And most people who want to have anything to do with the black world are looking at it from a very selfish vantage point, especially when they call themselves things such as the king of Pan-Africanism, Big Daddy consciousness, or things like that. It lets you know where their mindset is. So they're not in it for the people. They're in it for themselves. And they use their powers. I would have to say this in an evil way. So the people don't get anything. They give and they don't get because these people are not competent. It's no different from what you see in many parts of the black world. If you look at countries in Africa, their leadership, you don't see a lot of people getting many things done. Now, I know I did use that sort of message in America, where you have like Nigerians and the African American community making money. But I mean, on a greater scale, you see that same thing happening there. A lack of competence, a lack of productivity. And that is exactly why you have a country like, let's say, the Netherlands, who is 4 times smaller than Uganda, which is in the top 5 producers of food with less land. Because everybody else is about productivity. We are not. And I want to tell people, especially you black men in the black community, that you feel, well, people don't like me because I don't have charisma, or I'm not funny enough, or I can't gauge things. Focus on being the most productive person. People can run their mouth all they want. They can crack jokes all they want. They can be the king of the hill all they want. But in this life, if you're not productive, if you can't innovate, if you can't make shit happen, you end up like Umar Johnson. Umar Johnson doesn't know the business of starting a school. He doesn't know how to run a school. Like many folk who wanted to defend the brother would always talk about, well, he was a school psychiatrist or psychologist actually, and all this. I've never seen any proof of that. But let's say, for example, he was a school psychologist. That is a different business than running a nonprofit organization. You know, taking cash apps and not claiming it and not filing, your taxes and all that, not having an accountant and just being dusty. That is completely different. It's a different business. Running a school is a different business than being a school counselor or a school psychologist. So when you don't know, you outsource. But when you're not that smart, you don't. And you live in a dusty mindset like Dr. Umar Johnson. He is not a businessman. He don't know how to run the business. Charisma can't run businesses. Businesses, nonprofits, these things are not sexy things to run. There's a lot of inputs and outputs that go into these things. Many moving parts. Day in and day out to get these things taken care of.